All right, we're live.
Hello.
Allison, hello. Did you know that there's a little bit of drama in the LawTube community?
Is that a new thing? I feel like that's just called Wednesday.
Yeah, now it's been the past week that things are kind of blowing up in the LawTube community, and I don't want to go into it. So
I think the LawTube community is deep state now. I'm starting to wonder if it's just like deep state theater at this point. I'm questioning it all.
It might be, but in order to keep things as calm as possible, I don't want to get anything, really heavy, any emotional stuff. So I'm going to avoid LawTube and talk about something much calmer. So let's talk about Alex Jones.
Oh, God. The guy who was, when I was in mainstream news, you I guess you talked about him like you talk about
Voldemort,
a Martian or something. Yeah, I mean, just so out there, like something that I don't know, if you were ever in any way said anything nice about him or associated with him in anything but dogpiling on him, you also deserved a spanking. That was really how. And we obviously all saw that when Megyn Kelly was going to have him on as her first guest, right? When she had that Sunday show that she was going to do with NBC, and then everyone freaked out, and then she was eventually moved, and then we all know what happened after that. But yeah, I mean, he is a leprosy. He is news leprosy. Untouchable. You know what I mean? In any way other than just, like I said, dogpiling on the guy.
Right. Okay. It's funny you brought up Megyn Kelly, because remember on that one, and you worked with Megyn Kelly back in the day, right? Or a little bit.
Well, I was actually confused for her once. I'm going to say there was a day before I had 2 children. I actually did my hair and makeup and whatnot. And yeah, I was asked for her autograph at one. Well, and what was really weird, Eric, is that when I was at this wedding, it was my cousin's wedding, and I didn't know what was going on, but because I worked at Fox News Channel, people were coming up to me and they're like, what's it like working at Fox News Channel? And I did work at Fox News Channel. So I was answering the questions, and then they're like, what's it like working with Bill O'Reilly? And I did work with Bill O'Reilly. So I answered that too. And, I answered all these questions about Fox. I didn't think that they thought I was somebody different. And so at the end, when they asked for my autograph, I'm like, you know what? They even said, I love your work. And I'm like, okay. I mean, that's weird. I'm just a producer, I just do Fox and Friends, but fine. Maybe they like Fox and Friends. And that's what it took a little bit. But then eventually when somebody said, oh, well, can I get your autograph? I'm like, dude, what? There's some why? So I was like, what's going on? Like Megyn Kelly? Like, no, man. I'm the poor man's Megyn Kelly. So anyway, but yeah, that I didn't work with her directly, but a very good friend of mine, in fact, I officiated her wedding, was her direct producer for many, many years, and really actually enjoyed working with her quite a bit.
And you didn't sign Allison Morrow and watch them go?
No, I was like, okay, no, now I know something's going on because no one wants my autograph. I don't.
That would have been classic if you did, though.
I should have, but I was like, well, it was kind of like when my husband, we were. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You want me to tell my story about Lynn? And one time,
how
he wanted to just be friends. Well, yeah. So he told me he just wanted to be friends back in the day, and I hung up on him because I told him I had enough friends. I didn't need another friend. And so then 8 months later, he's calling and he's like wants to send me flowers, and I remember pulling over on the side of the road, and I go, why? Like, he's like, what? I just want to say, a guy just wants to send you flowers. Like, why are you getting so mad about it? I'm like, because where have you been for 8 months? And you just want to be friends, and now you're sending me flowers. That's kind of my reaction when they were asking me for my autograph. Like, what's going on here? Something's wrong. So I don't have enough of an ego to like think something's a compliment when I know there's got to be something weird's happening. So anyway, yeah, no, I didn't sign my name, but maybe I should have.
No, if it makes you feel better, my wife, she doesn't like talking about it now, but when we first met, we got on really well with the date and everything. And for whatever reason, she looked at me and she goes, if you ever get me flowers, I hate roses.
Nice. Well, at least she's honest.
No, but it is. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. And I was like, Thank you. I mean, it helps me out a little bit. It's like, okay, well, I won't screw that one up. I can do patience, we're good to go. But to your not namesake, but vision's sake, I guess, Megyn Kelly, it does remind me when he did that interview, Alex Jones with Megyn Kelly. Remember, she released kind of portions of the interview that were cut up, and he said, "Oh, hell no," and he had recorded his side of the interview. And I think that was one of the first blows against Megyn Kelly. I like Megyn Kelly. I like her as a reporter and everything, but that was a kind of an uncomfortable introduction. What was it, NBC?
Sorry, can you hear the producer?
Oh yes, your performance is lacking.
I can't figure out how to mute myself, so I was just like, oh well.
Yeah, it's StreamYard bottom left, but what are you gonna do?
Bottom. Oh, there it is. Okay. Now I'm better prepared for next time.
No worries. So we can see everybody. The producer is cracking the whip. My co-host is she's being driven and definitely told exactly what she thinks. So, not to bury the lead, we have a settlement of nearly $1 billion. Like Austin Powers, billion.
Yeah. And that's on top of the last verdict. So I gotta say, okay, so like the friends I have who are like, I call them like, they're my deepest rabbit hole friends. You know, they're like, I don't want to call them conspiracy theorists because they, you know, probably are right about a lot of stuff. But the rabbit hole friends of mine think he's never going to have to pay any of this money. And it's all just theater to get people to shut up about things that the powers that be don't want us to talk about, but they think Alex is in on it and he's just part of the theater. Maybe he wasn't when he first started, but he's in on it now in some way, shape, or form as a puppet for the powers that be. He's not going to have to pay the money. It's all theater. I don't know what you think about that, but that's the deepest level conspiracy that I've heard so far about it all.
If that's all theater, don't let me star in that play. Somebody else can perform for me because I don't want to be any part of that. Especially I'm hanging out with all these lawyers. And from what I understand, these judgments are like student debt. They're inescapable. You cannot bankrupt out of them.
Oh, really?
So can you imagine having...
What are they going to do if you don't have the money?
You'll be a slave, which is almost the worst irony of all, because whatever you think of Alex Jones, right? He is very much against the state. He's very much populist, independent, and anti the man. It would be literally like he was a slave. Like every single thing he did, every nickel he ever made for the rest of his life and time would be getting sucked out of him.
It sounds like being a disabled veteran, actually. As someone who's married to a guy who's supposed to get a disability check, but anytime the government wants to take money away, like Lynn was just telling me how they screwed up. Okay. The government screwed up, the VA or whoever does the GI Bill. They screwed up in his for the allowance that they're giving him because he is in college now, like college, 2 kids, also running a business. It's insane. He never sleeps, but they'll make mistakes and they'll give you an extra like couple $100 or something. And then they'll go, oh, we weren't supposed to do that because you were only taking 2 classes instead of 3. So they'll just take the money out of his disability check and he'll never see it. He can't argue it. It's not like they send him the bill or something. They just take the money out of his bank account, basically. They just rip the money away. So I guess now Alex knows what it's like to be a disabled veteran. That's
well, and then there's the flip side, right? Where Lynn proves out that, no, you actually owe me because I did fill in the blank. And they say, yeah. We'll get to you.
Yeah, and then they never do.
Chill out.
Right.
We'll stand in line here.
Yeah.
Don't get too hasty there, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're always in a hurry to get what they think they should have, and rarely available when it's something that they owe you. That's 100% true, for sure. But the Alex Jones thing, Eric, like we were talking about before we went live, it's
and this is why we're late, okay? I'm going to give you a little bit of behind the scenes.
Signing contracts, like don't say this. No, I'm just kidding. We weren't doing that.
No, it is literally a thing of, Jesus, do we want to talk about this?
Yeah,
how well is this going to get it? Because it is like, okay, this is a lose-lose scenario. he is literally talking about Voldemort. So we were talking about it right beforehand. It's like,
Yeah.
well, how do we feel about it? What are we doing? And he did say some shit. I mean, I think most people would agree that it was gross. Okay, he's there are actual victims. Nobody's questioning that an incident happened in Connecticut, and I don't know about YouTube, so I don't even know what to say. So I'll say in Connecticut there was a place and some bad things happened, and Alex Jones made some statements about bad things, or said they weren't real, or whatever, and all that's gross. $1 billion?
Well, and like we were saying earlier too, before we went live, like it's hard to find a third perspective on this. So the two I see often are the kind of mainstream media perspective, which is just like the guy's, Voldemort. He's evil, pure evil, and a man of many hoaxes and no mercy. No mercy. The other side is like he's just being used as a political prisoner, basically. He's being sacrificed to the altar of justice or injustice, and we're all going to suffer because of it. The third perspective I don't get very often is kind of a marriage of both of those, like that you can could you say, hey, he's guilty of certain things, but I also feel like he was dealt injustice in his trial because of who he is, and that was used for political purposes or whatever the reasons are. I mean, is there a third perspective, or maybe there's a fourth and a fifth? Like I said, my rabbit hole friends, they have an even darker view of all of this. But I don't. It's very hard to access that information. He's a very divisive, whether he wants it or not. What no matter what you think, he just tends to be a topic that polarizes people. And so if you're somebody like me, and I think you're like this too, Eric, where you're genuinely like, you're not married to either one of the more extreme views, you're genuinely interested in trying to learn what's really going on. It's very hard. This is a very hard topic. And I think it's probably a good example for people to think about whatever is like the Alex Jones that's in the headlines tomorrow. Whether that's Russia, Ukraine, or, climate change or vaccine mandates or something else, that if you watch, you'll see similar patterns in how people discuss, and especially like when you're looking at the establishment press and everything. So I think if you can look at it unemotionally and just try to look at it as objectively as possible, I think there's a lot to learn in what's going on right now. It's just very difficult to find that information.
I agree. And this is a complete sidetrack. It's sort of tangentially correct, but hopefully I'll get it there. It's similar to, I don't know if you're familiar with Nexium, the cult.
Yeah. How do I know about that? How do I know about them? Because you interviewed somebody.
I've talked to some people who were in it, but I've also kind of crossed paths with Nikki Klein, who is one of the higher ups in it.
She like has a lesbian wife or like lover or something.
Allison Mack, who was the primary.
Okay.
Her wife was Allison Mack, yes, and Nikki Klein is very much in it. Now, this is kind of similar because I will admit that I kind of went hard about it, being a cult and everything, and I've learned about HBO documentaries, so I may be eating a lot of words. I don't know yet. I don't want to eat them all, though. I want to try to snack it out and spread it out, kind of over time. I don't want to get overfilled. But I do think it probably was a cult. And I do think that Nikki Klein was probably caught up in it and influenced by it. But more and more, it's looking like the prosecution and the government were shady as hell and potentially illegally planting evidence and pulling all kinds of shenanigans to put who I think is probably a cult leader behind bars. So it's a very complex situation, in my opinion. And this is where I see the parallel in some ways, right? Like, I don't want to say that Alex Jones is an angel. I don't think that's completely fair. And I don't think that he would even say that he's an angel. He did apologize. He did say that he made a lot of the comments about, that place in Connecticut and apologized for it multiple times. So that could be true. He could have said shitty things, same way as she could have been in a cult. But I'm so concerned about some of the judicial things that I've been hearing. And while I hang out with lawyers, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't completely understand it. I'm concerned that in Texas that he had a default judgment, meaning he was guilty without a trial.
That's weird, dude. I never heard of that before this. I never heard that could even happen.
Right. So,
and like think about other precedent like January 6th or 9/11. I mean, it's always the most anathema of society, I guess, who are used to sort of slip in these new ways of doing things, and usually including like losing control of your individualism and giving your rights up to the government. And it's done, in the name of like safety or like hate, this guy and the pain
which is nebulous. What's hate, Allison? I mean, I piss you off sometimes. Do you hate me? Is that hate speech because I say something annoys you? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so here's another question that I was thinking of earlier too. I was watching the sentencing and they're talking about future damages. So it's like they include, and maybe that's normal. I don't know, but they include past and future damages. And then the other thing, when I was trying to think of the similarities for defamation or slander or whatever with the Johnny Depp thing, and maybe they're totally different, but he could say, I lost a movie or I lost this contract. Like, this is what it was worth. I don't know how, when you're talking about emotional damages or what, I guess I'm confused. And just to say, I have not extensively watched the trial, but it does seem a little bit more nebulous in this particular case.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, if it was any other trial and any other person, I would be like, yeah. But there's so much weirdness around the dude. I mean, this guy, you've heard the poem, First They Came, right?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like that's Alex Jones with the internet. Again, no matter what anybody thinks about him, first they came for Alex Jones, then they came for a sitting president.
Then they came for Nick Rekieta.
And they came for Nick Rekieta. And now they're coming for Robert Gulia. And I hope I said it right.
I saw that.
Robert, by the way, I apologize, Robert. I had him on when he was Robert Gruler, I believe. And he changed his name the next week. I think he did just to mess with me. I'm not kidding. Because I literally had his show. I finally had him on, Robert Guler, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, what? Who?
He changed his name like online, or he literally legally changed his
all
name?
The above. I think that's his mother's name and it's a family decision. And I totally respect
what?
it. But it just
that's funny.
But please don't do it right after you do my show. Because I just got you. And it's
that
very
is really
confusing.
Funny.
But anyway, yes. And then they came and then they came. And look, Alex Jones actually did an interview with our friends Aviva Fry and Robert Barnes, and he talked about that he knew they were coming, and so he let them come for him, thinking that if they're going to come for me anyway, let me be first, so that way I'm remembered. If he is Voldemort, if he is the guy that gets knocked out first, because there's many others, Milo Yiannopoulos and, a lot of other people, right?
Yeah.
But nobody has that weird black hole cachet, I don't know what you call it, of being the canceled guy. So it's a kind of like a backhanded way. Mm-hmm. But because of that, and by the way, he goes all the way back, like, I don't know if you've heard of John Ronson, the author who wrote the Psychopath Test, and So You've Been Publicly Shamed. He's a very talented British author. Well, they went into, I forget the name of it. It's a Grove, something Grove, like Bohemian Grove.
Oh, yeah, Bohemian Grove. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, he and John Ronson both went into that like in the late 90s, with a hidden camera, and you can see all this old VHS footage of them doing it with the burning owl and all that. So I mean, Alex Jones has been a pain in the government's ass for a long time.
Yeah,
if you think about it. So
it's true. But like
I just don't know what to think.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I know people that think he's total disinformation now, that he used to be like he used to be the truth guy. Now he's somehow part of it all. I have no clue. It's way above my pay grade. You know, there, like I said, you could find whatever you really want to believe. You could find information to support it on the internet about him. You could find that he's the worst guy on the face of the earth, and you know, that he should be paying more than $1 billion. You could find that he's somehow connected to the CIA and he's part of a disinformation campaign. You could find that he just got hosed in court. I mean, there's just, at the very least, you could say he's like one of the most talked about people on planet Earth, and just a lot of people with very, very intense opinions about him. You know, very few people who are like me and have just no effing clue and are just staring at the screen. You know,
totally agree. By the way, while we're talking about Alex Jones and LawTube, that makes me think of grifting, and that makes me think of money. Allison, did you know I have a sponsor?
I do now.
Well, guess what? I have a sponsor. They're called HelloFresh, and let me introduce you. This video is being sponsored by HelloFresh. You've probably heard of them, as they are America's #1 meal kit. They offer over 50 weekly options, giving an amazing amount of variety of recipes so you'll never get bored. They even have veggie, pescatarian, and fit and wholesome meals to make it easy to stick to your goals. With HelloFresh, step-by-step recipes are super easy to follow, and pre-portioned ingredients help cut out the prep time. It's also up to 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant, according to Zagat. To try HelloFresh, just click the link below and you'll get 17 free meals across 7 boxes, plus 3 surprise gifts. Thank you very much, and thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video.
Well done.
Well, thank you. That was my attempt at trying to put together a video. Yes, I edited it myself. A kid looks like a kid did it next door. I get it.
Any stream with Allison sucks. Someone says Hundley infomercial sucks. No, any stream with Allison sucks. That's awesome. Well, you're in luck, because soon I have to leave anyway. Who said that again? They call me Giraffe. Yeah, I'm leaving anyway because I got to go take care of 2 kids. Got a newborn and everything.
No, I mean, we were just getting into it. We're just having fun.
Well, do you want to wrap with Alex, or do you want to do one last quick topic?
Well, you know what? Let's do a last topic, because you had a guest on and we're talking about, let me see. Do I have a good link on that? Yes, I have the archive link for this. Dude, archive.ph. I use the hell out of them because I keep hitting paywalls. It's incredibly obnoxious and it drives me crazy. We have the PayPal. Aspect of it. Am I sharing this? I am sharing this. So I really genuinely want to know, and I am asking you, Allison, the expert, the financial expert, my friend, what do we do about PayPal? And obviously PayPal floated, and I think it was a trial balloon. I think that they wrote this bullshit new policy of the $2,500. I don't think it was an accidental leak. I think it was we're going to find people left and right, whatever we want. We're going to ding them because we're Silicon Valley and we're PC. They got caught. They're getting burned. And so they, it was probably a crazy intern that did it. What happened?
Well, I have 2 ideas, I think, that are the most convincing to me. One is the fact that this is not an opinion or idea. This is a fact that PayPal has been closing people's accounts for years and stealing their money. You may not call it a fine, but they don't give them the balance. So say you have a couple $100 in there, or a couple $1,000 or even more, and they decide that you're violating their terms of service, but they never really tell you what, fraudulent activity or or disinformation or whatever. They're very nebulous about it all. But I've interviewed at least 2 people on my channel who over the last couple years have been banned by PayPal, kind of like Patreon. And the balance in PayPal's in their PayPal bank is stolen. They never get it back. So the idea that PayPal is going to come after you for your money for whatever reason they decide is not new. So the $2,500, that specific number is new. The idea that they're going to call it a fine is new, but the idea that PayPal would take money from you as punishment is not new, and for misinformation is not new, because that's almost 100%. I mean, we don't know for sure, but the 2 people that, it's Ryan Christian with the Last American Vagabond and Christina Urso, who writes, a Substack account, Radix Verum. She covers national.
There's 3 then. Huh? There's 3 then.
And who?
Owen Benjamin. You had him on.
Oh yeah, and Owen Benjamin. Yeah. So right, 3. And but I know I don't know if in Owen's case they took the money, but I know in Christina and Ryan's case they never got the money back. So one thought I have now this is opinion is like, were they codifying something they were already doing? So in other words, did some attorney say to them, hey, you're already basically stealing people's money for this. You should put it in writing so that they don't come after you and sue you for violating terms of service that you never wrote. Okay, so that's one idea that I thought, well, because the idea that this is all just new, because like you were describing, a lot of people think, no, come on, they really meant to do it and it was a new thing, and then they retracted it because people hate them. But it's not a new thing. It's not new. The only thing that's new is the way that they're writing about it. But the idea that they're stealing your money because they're punishing you over misinformation, that's not new for PayPal. That's been around for quite a while. I looked up a gun shop in 2018 that had their account closed. Same thing. And, very nebulous reasoning behind it. And so, it's like the information itself it's a little, I have a hard time believing even the fake, like intern let out the $2,500 thing. We didn't mean it. That whole, we too low something Wong. I keep going back to, remember that Asiana flight that landed in San Francisco and the NTSB intern released the names. Do you remember that? And the TV stations ran with it. And they're like, we have the pilot's names from the Asiana flight that crashed in San Francisco. It is Something Wong, Holy Fook, We Too Low, Bing Dang Ow. Remember that? And they just like read it.
Oh, I love it.
Oh man. But the NTSB is like, oh, it was an intern. It was an intern. So like, what was an intern doing talking to the TV stations? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So anyway, the PayPal thing is weird, but I think it's even more weird than the people who are questioning it right now think. The other option though is, I know with a lot of this stuff, there's kind of this like thesis, antithesis, synthesis thing where they'll like release something that sounds really terrible and everyone will freak out about it. And then they'll go, oh, okay, we're not going to do that. We'll just do this. And it was always planned. Like the lesser thing was always planned, but they wanted to freak you out with the worst thing so that you'll be like, okay, we'll take the lesser thing. That's fine.
It's called bracketing.
It's not $2,500. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's bracketing. It's like, okay, you want to sell $700 computers. So you have a model that's $1,500 and everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, this is a reasonable middle of the road computer halfway there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You'll take the crumbs from the table because it's better than getting beat the shit out of. And so yeah, I think that could be it too. That like, there's going to, be something we won't be paying attention to that'll be more germane and, we're like, oh, at least it's not the $2,500 fine, those idiots. And then, because everybody freaked out about that, no one's going to be paying attention and they're going to slip something in that'll still be bad, but we won't be paying attention to it because we've had our, freak out roller coaster moment with the $2,500. I think I do think sometimes, you can, like what is it? Occam's razor, like don't ever credit to evil what could be stupidity. Maybe I'm saying it wrong,
Hanlon's razor.
Thank you.
That's
yeah. So sometimes we forget that a lot of people really do believe in this whole misinformation is the greatest danger kind of mentality, and we have to do something about it. So it's possible that there were really like people who just thought they were doing something benevolent and that, whoops, we didn't know that. It's hard for us to believe somebody could be that stupid. But I think a lot of times we don't realize that there are lots of people out there who buy into this whole public information policing mentality, and they like stuff like this. Like we were talking about the Washington Post article that was written about it, and they did their typical signaling that, that it was conservatives who were freaking out and right-wing blogs that were freaking out. So they could signal to their readers that, you don't have to worry about this if you're not one of those people. Like, this is good for you. Like, PayPal's not going to have any effect on you if you're just one of the good guys. So it's the bad guys that are freaking out about it. And then that way everyone goes, oh, okay. Like what I was saying in my podcast was, when someone dies, people always go, well, were they a smoker, or, do they wear their seatbelts? Because it's like, if I just wear my seatbelt, or I don't smoke, or I don't drink, or whatever, then I won't die like them. It's kind of the same way. Like, well, you a right-wing extremist? Because if you're not, then you don't have to worry about PayPal coming after you.
Or do you mean serial killers that never get caught because they just kill those people that nobody cares about?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's kind of the point. Yeah, exactly. So those are kind of my two ideas. That's one, they're codifying something they were already doing under some kind of legal advice that they were corrupt and they needed to put something in writing because they were stealing people's money, and that way it would be legal and they couldn't be sued. Or it's the other thing, while we're all distracted by the $2,500 deal, something else is going to get slipped in. I think I'm in one of those two camps.
My big worry is that I did look it up, because when I first heard about it, I looked up, I saw articles in 2018 about people losing their PayPal money. But from what I understand, there was a difference this time. And before, it was like, okay, I accept PayPal, folks. Please forgive me. Links are in the description, though, if you like PayPal.
I know I gotta cancel mine still. I've been meaning to.
Well, yeah, I'm torn on it because what to do. They changed their policy, great, but you can accumulate a bunch of money in PayPal. So, like, if you're selling stuff or collecting donations or whatever it is, you can build up a PayPal reserve. And I think it used to be that then they would hit that reserve. All your PayPal earnings, they would just hit it, $2,500. And let's say you had $250,000. They would say, yeah, you have 1,000 violations. Sorry, and just take the money. However, this time, from what I understand, from what Barnes and them were saying, is that they will actually go into the bank account that is attached to your PayPal and then pull the $2,500. And I'm still... Dang. Dude, I don't question, Barnes' knowledge of the law and all that, but I do go, oh my God, are you serious? That how in the hell are you going to touch my bank account? And that is the part that really sends the chills down my back.
Yeah.
On that, to the point where Mark and I were discussing, it's like, well, maybe we should just open another bank account for the sole purpose of moving PayPal to it. So that way it's like, yeah, the only thing you can get, but that's a scary state. So before you go, you have to save me and everybody else here. What's our option? Is there another service? And I worry about like Gab Pay, because I feel like that's getting
Buy Me a Coffee. Isn't that, I've been wanting to get on Buy Me a Coffee. I've heard people like that. That's the only option. I only use PayPal now for clients, but I could easily get them to do something else. So I think I'm just gonna,
we can't do Venmo because that's PayPal too.
Yeah, right. You got to do that too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you really want to talk it to him, that's the only way to do it, I think. And one of the interesting things that Jeffrey Tucker brought up, who was on talking about it, is like, is this going to be like the first run on a sort of digital bank? Because people are pulling their money, and I don't know. We'll see. But I think if you really want to hurt them, that's where you got to go. I'm going to close my PayPal account. I can't dance with the devil anymore. I do still have Patreon, and I feel kind of icky about that. But anyway,
you see,
thanks for having me, Eric.
All right. Well,
what are you going to do next?
Well, I'm going to listen to your pitch. Don't you have some wine or coffee or something to say?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I don't know where's my bottle. Hang on 1 second. See if I have. No, I must have already drank it. Well, yeah,
that's right. You had the baby.
Promo.com. I must have drank my show bottle. It's desperate times, guys. I've got 2 kids. One's a newborn. So yeah, go to AllisonWinePromo.com and get some amazing Malbecs from Argentina. Get 50% off the bottles and 50% off shipping. So it's a really good deal. And they are very high quality wines. So Get them for, I don't know if you celebrate Thanksgiving or maybe you hate Thanksgiving because you hate Columbus. Wait, Columbus wasn't Thanksgiving. Pilgrims, whatever. Anyway.
That was last Monday. Yeah.
Oh, that was last day. Indigenous Peoples Day, whatever. But anyway, for anything you're celebrating, remember when we had the guys on, we were talking about the Seder, Passover Seder. 3 kids counting the husband. Well, and don't forget the dog and 2 horses. So anyway, yeah, mother of 10, basically. So I drink a lot. No.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. And yeah, coffee too. twinenginecoffee.com/Allison. And Allison's with 1 L. I think the giraffe guy is probably going to go right now and buy it because he's my biggest fan.
You're your biggest fan. All right. Well, for Giraffe Guy and everybody else, Allison Morrow, it's in the description. Just click it and go right to her channel. You can subscribe.
It pairs very well with HelloFresh, I've heard.
There you go. All right. Well, Allison.
See you guys next time.
See you then.
Bye.
All right. Bye. All right. Everybody stuck with me for a few more minutes. Please. No, I know that it's a letdown. Forgive me for that. But we're going to go back to a little more on Alex Jones. I'm going to talk with you guys, see what you think. And this is parts of what I'm very concerned about here.
Trial. Now, I came here to testify 2 weeks ago. I came here this time to testify. And the judge today said that she will hold me in criminal contempt if I say I'm innocent, if I say I'm bankrupt, if I say I wasn't the first person to question Sandy Hook, and over 10 other things. No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
This is a case that has put the American justice system itself on trial. And the trial that has taken place here, this show trial, is an embarrassment to the rule of law in America and a disgrace and a travesty of American justice. Everybody knows you're supposed to get your day in court. Yet the one person who is being denied any day in court is Alex Jones. To such a degree that the court has made clear today that if he testifies honestly, if he testifies truthfully, he goes to jail. But if he answers the questions in the way the plaintiff's lawyers want, then he could also go to jail. No matter what he does, he goes to jail if he testifies in his own behalf, in his own defense. The story they told about Sandy Hook was not true in the sense that they blamed gun owners and blamed Alex Jones for what happened, when the reality is that school safety was not up to snuff at Sandy Hook. Democratic politicians decided to pocket money meant to protect little kids' lives, and little kids died who didn't need to die because politicians lied. That's the real truth of Sandy Hook, but they can't have any of that truth come out. They can't have the truth that Alex Jones and InfoWars had nothing to do with promoting and instigating and originating those who had doubts about Sandy Hook. That came from media professors and school safety people and people completely outside of Alex Jones and InfoWars. That's why they always had a fake case. And they won't allow them to tell the truth because the truth would let the world know that their case is based on a lie.
All right. I definitely wanted to share that with everybody. And again, Alex, very, very controversial, everything else. But removing him out of this equation, I find this concerning. And I find elements of this concerning. And to duck, measures of people who are worried or whatever, I'm not trying to get on the wayside of any policy or any other decisions. Let's talk about some of what Barnes is saying. Do you know that the school that was involved in this incident was torn down? Now, why? Why would you tear it down? Well, out of respect for the victims, right? Everybody, we all respect the victims. I mean, I totally respect the victims. Give me a break. But we tear it down. Huh. Okay, so that's interesting. Well, hopefully everything that possibly could have been done was collected. Was all evidence collected from the school? Were there any safety measures that might have been overlooked? I don't know. The school was torn down, wasn't it? So it's very, 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 very hard to do that. So okay. Well, Eric, this is an incident. This is a one-time incident. Just chill out, Eric. Get over it. You're being silly, right? So I don't know if you guys know. I have another show called America's Untold Stories. And on it, we've spent an incredible amount of time talking about Alec Baldwin and the Rust tragedy. So I'm sure you're saying, okay, you're weird, Eric. What the hell does this school in Connecticut have to do with Alec Baldwin and the Rust tragedy? Nothing directly. But I don't know if you knew this, but Alec Baldwin, or Alexander Baldwin Sr., his father, was a rifle coach at the high school where Alec Baldwin went to school. It was like a Long Island school. I don't remember exactly where it was, but at the school, he was the coach of the rifle team. Okay. That's kind of a unique field to be in. And, this day and age, now this is many years ago, but what's fascinating was that Alec Baldwin's father died. And during the autopsy, his lungs and all of his body were completely filled with lead. They were filled with lead from all the air and everything from shooting indoors. And you're saying, okay, this is a nice story, Eric. Do you have a point? Where are you going with it? Well, I guess my point is that there were questions about what kind of safety was at this school. Why would Alec Baldwin's father have this lead problem? But nobody will ever completely know. And can anybody guess why we will never completely know why he might have had these problems? Or as Len Westover here is saying, indoor ranges have to meet strict standards. Did they meet the standards? Didn't they meet the standards? I don't know. Why don't I know? Oh, they tore the MFR down. Oh, shit. So this didn't involve, well, it involved a lot of shooting, but it wasn't exactly the same thing. Somebody pointed out in the chat, it is true. Vivaldi, they've already voted. We're going to tear it down. And by the way, I'm not against necessarily tearing these down, but I am against tearing something down when there could be questions over what happened. So does this relate to Alex Jones? No, not directly, but it makes you ask some questions because Alex Jones is guilty of making shitty statements. Right? He apologized. So I'm just going to go by Alex Jones's words that he apologized for things that he said and that most of us say they're shitty. And they could be absolutely actionable. Sure. Let's just take the worst of it. But did anyone die from his statement? And I'm being very serious. Is it a problem that we're so concerned about his statements and the feelings that are harmed? And again, I'm not excusing it. I think that I understand the feelings are harmed. But what about if there's actually something that was overlooked? If all of our focus is on a person who made the shitty statements, we're not actually exploring what happened. How the hell do we prevent it? And I think that is what Barnes is pointing out. And others are pointing out. And I don't want to get political. I don't want to throw parties. I don't want any of that. I just want to get into the very basics. Were the safety protocols breached? Were there problems? Could people have lived? And by the way, could there have been lessons learned from a thorough exploration of what happened in Connecticut that could have maybe saved potentially lives in Uvalde and other places? And I am I being unreasonable asking these questions? Asking, should we look into whether the doors could be locked from the inside? I mean, think about that. From what I understand in Uvalde, they couldn't even lock the doors. They had to go outside the room to lock the. Think about that for a minute. Can you put yourself in that room with kids in a very real threat? And what the hell do you do? Think of that situation. And we could throw, everything into it or whatever, but I'm sorry. I'd like to think I'm brave. But if there's a rifle in the hallway and I'm in a room and I can't lock the door, I'm terrified. And yes, T-Ree, it's a defamation case. You're absolutely right. It's a defamation case. Okay, Peggy, here we go. Good. I do want people to push back. He incentivized his audience to confront the parents, investigate the parents in school. When I was in school, we had no locks on the door. Also, the police said the door was locked. Okay, so I'm confused about that. So did he incentivize his audience to confront the parents? I'm not going to deny it. I'm just wondering how did he actually do that? If he stated that he did or didn't believe something or whatever, is that what it was? Did he say, go find them, go track them down? I don't know. I've not seen the footage of that. Now, investigate. I don't have a problem. Does anyone have a problem with anybody going to investigate? And I'm being serious. If anybody yells, I want an investigation, I want to know, I want the truth, is that really a problem? That we demand more of an investigation? There's still mysteries, there's still questions. I mean, I was talking to my wife about this earlier, right? And we've got him saying that it was, at the worst, his saying it was a hoax, right? I think that's the claim, is that he said that it was a hoax. So on that note, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but wasn't there a movie called Fahrenheit 9/11 or Fahrenheit 9/11? Does anybody remember a movie called Fahrenheit 9/11? And correct me if I'm wrong on this, chat. Fahrenheit 9/11. Am I wrong? I thought there was a movie called Fahrenheit 9/11, and it was directed by a gentleman named Michael Moore. And wasn't the premise of Fahrenheit 9/11 that it was an inside job? That it was all a lie? Dare I say a hoax? Correct me if I'm wrong. And please tell me were there not over 3,000 people who died that day on 9/11? I mean, I was around during 9/11, and I remember driving across the country and hearing on the radio, and it was just so horrible and sad and depressing. And those poor people. And I remember Rudy Giuliani describing it, and I was on the radio, listening on the radio. I was driving across the country. I was having to move at the time. We had all of our belongings. I was separate from my wife. I remember all that as an indelible remark in my, mark in my mind. So my question is, where's the defamation? Where's the defamation suit? How much money was made? If I recall, it was the biggest selling documentary film in history. If I recall, it was. And it opened in the theaters. Where's the defamation? Why is it okay to say that? Oh, thank you, Shay 221. $220 million plus at the box office. So using the same logic, okay, could it not be said that Michael Moore and profiteering, or was profiteering off the death? Or, and I choose to say this, is his opinion. It's what he thought. Or what he produced. Or whatever else. I don't want to sue Michael Moore. That's not my point. My point is that was 3,000 deaths. That was the most impactful event that happened in American history since Pearl Harbor, in my opinion. It was an actual attack on the soil. However it came about here. But we're not suing for defamation because it's an opinion. It is something he researched, he came up with. And by the way, I have talked to people who have suffered from it. I had Jim Clemente on, who was a FBI agent who died on the table because of breathing in all kinds of garbage that was on there. He's one of the Criminal Minds people. Am I trying to insult him and his sacrifice and all the others? No, I'm not. And I'm not in love with Michael Moore, but I don't know that he is either. So my point is that his speech, his thoughts, his movie is incredibly offensive to a lot of people. Horribly offensive. But he's getting people to think. He is creating art. Now, a lot of people don't acknowledge it, and they want to say that Alex Jones is a maniac and this and that. And okay, that could be. And let me give you a personal example here. Those of you who follow me for a while know I have a lot of different friends. And I see Chase Hughes in the chat, and I'm so thankful to know luminaries like him. Chase and I have a mutual friend known as Spidey of behavioral arts. Spidey is an incredible guy, masterful magician, brilliant body language expert, everything else. I would never dare to talk about Alex Jones for more than 2 minutes around Spidey. I wouldn't even do that. I don't even like to say the name Alex Jones. Why? Because it triggers Spidey, and justifiably. Because Spidey has a family member who was in a school shooting incident. Now, I never want to disrespect the pain that he feels and he suffered with his family. I get it. So I never want to downplay how people feel. It is not a matter of neglecting feelings, because God knows I completely respect the feelings, and I get it. I get that Spidey cannot stand Alex Jones. You can't hear the name. And out of respect for Spidey, my friend, I'm not going to talk about him, okay? That's not right. But at the same token, I don't think Alex Jones did $1 billion worth of damage to anyone. We're talking about $1 billion here. And I know we throw money about because we have billionaires and things like that, but we're talking about entire countries' GDPs. $1 billion with a B, Austin Powers level. Come on. Are you freaking kidding me? And I looked this up earlier. I hope this is I hope this is accurate, because I didn't have time to go verify it 20 times from Sunday. But this is all I could find. The previous record case for defamation / libel, because they're pretty much the same thing. Okay, libel's print, the paper, whatever. Defamation in the case here of Alex Jones. The previous record is $222.7 million. And who did they go against? Dow Jones and Company. An entire organization. Now, in anybody's right mind, let's be fair. Do you think Alex Jones and InfoWars has the same gravitas, the same authority as the Dow Jones? You know, the people who talk about the whole damn stock market. So are you going to tell me that this dude, whom people don't want to take seriously anyway? So this is an interesting paradigm, right? We mock Alex Jones. The frogs are going to go gay, right? We mock him, but then we say that he is so pivotal, such a news source, that he's worth 4 times the record judgment? For real? Think about it. And I get it that people are upset. I don't question that. And I'm not even saying that there shouldn't have been any kind of an award. It'd be nice if he had a trial, though. Right? I mean, the guy got convicted, and then we're just arguing on how much to make him pay. But they were kind of missing a step in there. That's scary to me. Hey, good night, Chase. Great to have you, man. That scares the bejesus out of me. So I don't have good answers for it. I don't know what to tell anybody. I don't want to tell anybody what to think. I just hope that you do think and you do consider. Because remember, we're going back to first they came. And don't say anything wrong, folks. I mean, seriously. Don't be wrong. Whatever you do, don't be wrong. So on that note, I am going to head out for the evening, and thank you everyone for indulging me for this interesting evening with an interesting judgment. I think that the illustrious Joe Neerman of Good Logic is on. There may even be some more drama with LawTube if everybody wants to catch up on that. I actually had something I was thinking about putting out tonight, but I'm going to wait because I want to do it with Nate, my dear friend. Nate was going to maybe be here, but Nate's lost his voice and he sounds just horrible. Hopefully tomorrow he gets it back. But on that note, everybody, go check out my friend, Good Logic. Go check out everybody and, please support everybody. And can everybody consider doing this? And it's a minor requirement. Consider that we're all friends. All are friends. And please be generous and please be kind with all your friends and all the people around you, even if they get on your last nerve. On that note, have a fantastic evening.